in the legs.
Yeah, nice.
Nutmeg.
So you can see, and every single question that we take up in that manner now that we have made the model to whatever level of complexity it is at, you see that with every question that is being asked, the complexity increases. Like say for example, I think Prakriti it was who had mentioned last class that pretty soon people started observing, okay, you have been given an idea about what this whole thing is like, okay, and then you go out and you start making observations. So one of the observations that was made was that, okay, if the earth was flat as we said it was, right, and you are looking at, let's say, a constellation, and I'll use the same constellation that I drew just now, because this is a very famous constellation which can be seen from everywhere. So you're looking at the constellation, the Great Bear. Okay. Now, at any time when you see the constellation Great Bear, it should appear in exactly the same way, no matter where you're standing. So if it's indeed a flat earth, wherever you stand and you look at the constellation, you should see the same thing. That is how you recognize that it's a constellation. Whereas people started noticing that sometimes you can see the entire constellation and sometimes you can only see part of the constellation. Okay. And as time progresses, they also noticed that the constellation either appears more and more in view or it starts disappearing from the view. So how will you account for this? So we'll take one problem, the flat earth problem, okay, and this observation of either the constellations, or you can also talk in terms of watching the ships as they sail away from the coast. They had shipping, okay, the Greeks in particular had shipping. So they had these tall masts of ships. So if you stand on a flat earth and let's say that this part of it was ocean. So if you look at ships that are floating on the water, right, then you can see the masts of these ships. Okay, but what happens is when the ship is going away from you, you observe that you cannot see the ship completely all the time. In fact, as it goes further and further away, the ship's mast slowly disappears from view, or the other way around, if the ship comes towards you, then the ship's mast appears and then slowly by and by the entire ship appears until you can see the whole ship. So what does that tell you about the flatness of the earth? So what contradiction does this create, and what would you say would be the reason why this happens, both for the constellations and for the ship? Just speak, give your name and then speak, whoever wants to say something.
Yeah, sir, Ishan here.
Yeah.
So they can say that the earth is not flat, but it is slightly curved,
Yeah.
right? It's something like a circle, a sphere.
Correct. So therefore, the inescapable conclusion is that the earth is curved. Okay, because if the earth is curved, then this makes sense. All right. How? Well, I'll just keep the constellation and I'll curve the earth. Okay. Now somebody standing over here looked at the Great Bear. Obviously, they are going to see the whole constellation. But if somebody is standing over here, okay, then when they look, they can see part of the constellation, but the other part, okay, the way I drew it just now, it appears as if he will be able to see the whole thing. But let me make the curvature more pronounced. Let's say I make it like this, and I put a guy over here. Can you see the whole
Can't see the support.
Sorry? Can you see the whole thing now? Right? So he will obviously see part of the constellation, but the light coming from here is obscured from him. So the best that he will be able to see is this much. You get what I'm trying to say? So his vision is going to be limited to the horizon. Whereas this person, and I'll use a different color now, he will be able to see the whole constellation. So there was an observation. Yeah, I'll go to the waiting room. There are two Adil Sodis. I don't know if I can handle two Adils in my class. Okay. But then, having looked at this and said that, well, the only explanation that seems to be sensible to make is that the earth is in fact curved, and that we can also, using geometry, work out what is the curvature of the earth. Then we can say that we push the logic a little further and say that the earth therefore must be this, the region that we are standing on must be part of a sphere. So the earth has got to be spherical. Okay, with people living on the surface. All right, but then now you see that there is going to be a contradiction between this conception and the fact of what you see. Okay, now how do you fit these two things together? Any thoughts on this now?
Yeah.
Tell your name and then speak.
Yeah. So Shiv here.
Yeah.
You can just fit just like take out the turtles and make a sphere and just put the thing that we have put in it.
Okay, so that's kind of precisely what the Greeks ended up doing. It's just a question of selling the idea sufficiently that what they did was that they ended up making a spherical earth. Okay, and they said that the human beings live on the surface of this earth somehow. That is the only logic that is possible. They were logicians, right? And the rest of the system can remain as it is.
Sir, but Adira here. But then, what will the earth be on top of? Like, won't it be falling?
Sorry, what?
Like, won't the earth be falling again? Something needs to be under it, right?
Something needs to be under it, yeah. So what is being held up by this spherical object? Okay, so what if I said that the whole thing is such that the earth is actually at the center of the universe? So let's talk a little bit, move a little bit in time. Actually, we are moving hundreds of years into the future from the Babylonians. But let us say that we say that this is the center of the sphere, center of the universe actually, and the sun and the moon are going around it, and the stars all have a fixed space, a fixed position in space. Okay, Ruhani, okay, she's also in.
So
Yeah.
then I can think I can prove that the Babylonians were right.
Sorry.
I think I can prove that the Babylonians were right. Because if the earth was at the center, we know that the universe is spinning, means what we call it.
How do you know
rotating.
spinning? How do you know the universe is spinning?
Rotating, I meant.
Sorry?
Scientists have told that the universe is rotating.
No, no, no. I'm asking you, based on whatever we have done so far has been based on, we have created some models, ideas, imagination, based on something that has been observed. Is there anything that I have put over here which was not based on observation? The ideas are imaginary, but it is based on observation. So you are saying the universe is spinning. How? Why are you talking about this spinning universe? Do you get the point? Do you get my point?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, I got disconnected in the middle. So can you tell me, just recap what was going on?
Well, were you there when we discussed this?
No.
Oops. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll anyway post this video, then you will be able to catch up on whatever section that you missed. In a very quick recap, where once you give a certain idea, so let's say for example, I told you that there is a shop selling clothes. Okay, let's take one company's name. Let's say ASICS. And I tell you that ASICS has a 90% discount sale going on right now in its online store.
Oh my God.
Okay, a 90% discount. Yeah, made some people happy. So what will you do immediately if you are interested in that?
You'll go and buy.
No, before you buy.
Will collect money.
I just told you.
90% off.
I just told you.
Plan is that like you look it up, you look the website.
You look it up.
We'll check the store.
You check the store out, right? So you Google ASICS 90% sale, question mark, right? So you have to first find out, you have to verify. I gave you a piece of information and you want to know whether it's true or not. Why? Because you may say, what, 90% sale? That doesn't make sense, right? And then you Google it, and on the Google page, you put ASICS 90% sale, and it says Google says ASICS 90% sale rumor. Okay, so or it says fake news, right? Then you'll say that, okay, you'll come back to me and you'll say, sir, I don't know where you got this information from that there is a 90% sale in ASICS, but I Googled it and what I saw was that it said something about it being fake news and rumors, isn't it? So when you hear a piece of information about something that you were yourself not thinking about, but then the piece of information interested you. So we said, this is the flat earth, that the earth is flat. Then some people started looking and making observations, and then they saw that, well, what we see is that sometimes you can see a constellation completely, and some other times you can't see the constellation completely. You only see part of it. As ships sail away from you, right, you can see part of the ship as it goes up, as it comes towards you. You see the mast first, and then as the ship comes closer and closer to you, you see more and more of it. And therefore, the flat model does not support that idea. So the observation does not confirm if you say that the earth is flat. Because if the earth is flat, then if a ship sails away from you, you should be able to see the whole ship. Maybe the ship size will become smaller and smaller as it goes away, and bigger as it comes towards you. But you won't see part of the ship disappearing. So then you say that, well, then we think that since that cannot be reconciled with the idea of a flat earth, we have to say that the earth is curved. And when the earth is curved, then this observation makes sense. You get it? So by going along with these lines, we come to the idea with the advent of the Greeks that the earth is actually a sphere. So it's not as if it was only in modern times, that is 18th century onwards, that we thought about the idea of a spherical planet. Even the Greeks, some of them knew that the planet, or had evidence to show that the planet was actually a sphere. Okay, so that's what I was trying to say so far. Yeah, Nilofer, you want to say something?
So why didn't you think it was a semi-sphere? Like it was, yeah.
Why did they think that the sun is sphere? Sun is a
No,
sphere.
why did they think the earth is flat from the bottom and curved from the top?
Circle, sorry.
I get the whole question.
What?
Are you saying why did they first of all think that the earth was flat? Is that your question?
People already had the idea that it was flat. So when they said it was curved, didn't they think the base of the earth would be flat and where they live would be curved, like the top would be curved, it would be a semi-sphere?
Yeah, so it is also possible on a flat surface to have kind of curves. So then if you observed it from different parts, you would see that. But if that observation was widespread, so you're not on top of a mountain, you're on the plains, right? And even then you see the same thing happening. Right? Then you would have to conclude that the surface itself on which you are standing is curved. Right? And of course it would have been something that not everybody believed in. And that's how it happened. Many of these people, they became groups of people who believed in that idea. So there were, for example, among the Greeks, there were Ionians. I told you in the last class about Philolaus and the central fire, right? So there was a Greek school called the Ionians who believed in a certain concept. Then there were the Pythagoreans.
Obviously.
Okay, and then there were the Aristotelians. I'm not.
Did they believe in Aristotle or something like that?
Yeah, basically that they had one teacher who
Believe in work.
who gave the central idea. Sorry, beg your pardon?
They believe in his work, right? Whatever work he's done, they believe in that.
Exactly. Who believed in that person's work. And these groups actually then established schools which then taught other scholars who wanted to follow these ideas. Okay, and they were not just giving ideas about the planet and where you are, what is the universe like, and so on. They worked on lots of different things, including mathematics, geometry. Geometry was an important thing. The invention of geometry was the reason why all this came about. Geometry was the one that told them very, very clearly that the planet's surface is curved. I will tell you one more such thing. Or maybe not in today's class, Eratosthenes. You have heard of Eratosthenes?
Yes, sir.
What did Eratosthenes do?
I only heard the name.
You only heard the name. Okay. Eratosthenes was the one who famously conducted the experiment of the pole in Alexandria at 12 in the noon. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, sir, it does.
Yeah.
I think
Sundial.
You've heard about it somewhere. We will discuss Eratosthenes.
Clock.
Sorry?
Sir, the shadow.
The shadow thing. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like a sundial.
We did that in say
Yeah, not a
6 or 7,
sundial.
I'm not sure.
Not a sundial, but basically if you had a pole and the sun was not here, but it was here. Let's remove the stars out of the way. then the rays of the sun which are falling, coming from here, parallel to one another, right? If it falls on this pole, which will obviously be at 12 noon, then there will be no shadow, right? But if you were at another place, further north or further south, as the case may be, right? Then the rays coming from the sun, which will be parallel again over there, right, will cast a shadow, right? So if you found out the length of this shadow, this length, right, then you can tell what is the curvature of the earth. So Eratosthenes did that work by using basic geometry of triangles. Okay, but before we go to all of these things, I would like us to consider another question before we stop today, okay, which is that we say that the sun, the moon, and the moon, let us just talk about the sun and the moon at this point of time, go around the earth. Okay, so here is the path of the sun. And the moon. And we need to have two different orbits because their speeds are different. And we also thought that one is closer than the other, etc., etc. Now, the question that comes up is that what makes the sun and the moon move? So can you kind of give a suggestion for that? We are back to we are back to Babylonian times.
Sir,
Yeah.
I mean, Prakriti here. I have a question.
Yeah.
It's not, so it's sort of not really related to this, but for example, they had earthquakes. What did they think of it? Like when they said that the earth was flat, they could have thought that the turtles were moving or something.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So that kind of ties in. Okay. So then there were events like this. Earthquakes, volcanoes.
Sir, I have an explanation.
Storms.
Tsunami. Tsunamis.
Tsunamis, okay. Storms related to tsunami. Actually, combination. Tsunami is a combination of earthquakes and storms. But let's say destructive acts. Okay. So when these destructive acts took place, what would they have felt about it? What was going on? Why do these things happen? Because these destructive acts obviously would kill a lot of people. These things still kill a lot of people in our modern times with our modern technology. So you can imagine, like Vesuvius erupting in the Iberian Peninsula, that is in the south of Italy. When Vesuvius erupted, it wiped out an entire town, right? And Pompeii. So
Pompeii.
Tens and thousands of people.
A city in Rome.
Yeah, a city in Rome. So the question is, these two questions are connected, what Prakriti just asked. What about these events would have been the kind of explanation that people would have given that they did not know anything about plate tectonics and the fact that the earth is molten, etc., or that there are weather systems that are created because of evaporation, cooling down, condensation around the, none of these things were known. And they also had the question, what makes these things move? Because on earth, you cannot see anything move unless something moves it. But then there were these two objects, at least these two objects, the sun and the moon. In fact, they also discovered the planet subsequently by observation. what would have been the reason that they gave for these objects to move? If you can't explain something, what do you blame it on? There, I've
God.
God.
Huh?
They would think that
God.
earthquakes and volcanoes and storms are like the God is angry and stuff, so he's doing stuff.
Exactly. So what happened was, by inventing models for the
So even rain. So
even
even rain,
exactly. So
rain
that,
could have been an example for God crying or being angry and throwing down stuff like thunder and etc.
yeah, thunder and lightning also. Yes.
But rain is also a blessing at the same time, like for farmers.
That is why I didn't put rain. Rain is
Sir.
because agriculture and so on. It's important for that. But storms, destructive events that happen, and also mysterious, unexplained happenings like the movement of the
Bermuda Triangle or the Cape of Good Hope or something like that. Yeah.
Sir.
Okay, so all these kinds of things finally were attributed to the ultimate idea.
Sir,
The idea of
solar eclipse. What about atheists?
an all-powerful being who controls everything. When there is something you can't explain or give reason for or see the existence of, blame it on God. It's act of God. In fact, even today, we still say these things, these events that happen, including the current COVID crisis and so on, in insurance documents, they don't call it act of God in all insurance documents, but it's referred to as the act of God. Somebody wanted to say something. It sounded like Ruhan.
I wanted to also.
Yeah, me. Solar eclipse, sir.
Huh?
Solar eclipse. They thought the demon ate the moon.
Yeah, exactly. So when eclipses occurred, then they referred it to the fact that there is good and evil, and therefore we talk about it like that in Indian philosophy also, no? Indian mythology. We say that when lunar eclipses occur, it is some Rakshas eating the moon, and then he cannot hold the moon in his stomach, and the moon bursts out of his stomach. So that is how they.
पर तो हर बार मून को ही क्यों खाता है?
Huh?
Sir, I heard something.
Something else.
The sun is too hot to be eaten. That's why. I don't like.
So there's so many planets. You can just
Sir, I had heard.
Yeah.
I want to ask something. Tell something.
Everyone has a favorite food. Maybe it's the demon.
Sir, I have heard something. You were asking about what moves the sun and the moon.
Okay, sorry, I muted everybody. Now let's start again.
So,
Shiv here, I want to say something.
Shiv, yeah, speak please.
Yeah. So like they must be thinking like somebody has done a sin or something, and God like is to punish them or something.
Correct. Yes. So what was happening in that sense at this point of time when they were introducing the ideas of God is that in a way, whatever you call science at that point of time, right, was getting combined with the idea of religion. Okay, mind you, we needed religion because we started living together in societies. So people who are living together in societies have to follow some norms, some rules, some regulations, right? And at that point of time, human beings would have asked, well, if I like something that belongs to somebody else, why should I not take it? If I am strong enough, right, and I can fight that person, I will fight that person and I will take it. But then they realize that if this starts happening with everybody who's living in society, then we will have anarchy, right? We will have a very bad situation, right? Nobody will be happy. Yeah, we will have war, we will have fight, we will be in constant state of distress. So therefore, we need to have a system, right, which will tell people what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do. So, okay, you make rules, you say, okay, it's not right to go and take somebody else's property just because you like it. So you say, why not? You say, because, it's just wrong. And you will say, well, is it not wrong that I don't have it and the other person has it? She has it, I don't have it. Shouldn't I take it from her? Why is it right that she has it and I don't have it? So you see, when you start arguing in that manner, So you might say that, okay, the other person might get hurt about it. We said, but I am hurt myself if I don't have these things. So for me, I am more important. If the other person feels hurt, let her try to take it back from me, and we will see. So it can go into.
Sir, now can I speak?
Sorry.
Sir.
Okay.
Let him complete.
Yeah, let me just finish. So therefore, we had to invent something far more powerful than ourselves, right? Which is the idea of God. But the thing is that I don't know how it is possible, but they did manage to convince us. You can think about how this happened, that there is some powerful being who is there, okay, who is far more powerful than all of us, omnipotent, omnipresent, and so on, right? Who will punish us if we do something against the idea of good and evil. All right, and how will he punish us? Well, the easy thing is to show something that is far more powerful than us. Show earthquake, show volcano, show storms.
So that we can blame him. So we can blame him, right?
Exactly. So you say we should all behave virtuously. We should all be doing the right things, and then these things will not happen because we keep God happy. And of course, you have to make sacrifices. You have to pray. You have to visit the temple, etc., etc., etc. Okay. So and in this way, science and religion sort of started mingling with one another. Okay. And this, while you can understand the logic behind it, of course, created a big problem for the progress of science. How that happened and why that happened, we will see in the following few classes. But as of now, we will stop because we have gone past the time. If some people have any questions that you want to discuss with me, after this, you can stay back. Others are free to go. All those who wanted to say something, please stay back, say what you have to say, and then we will move from there.
Bye.